So this is just the next iteration of something called business email compromise. And last year, the FBI saw more than 20,000 of these attempts. It can come in this form, which is a fairly new one, looking for direct deposit information, or it can be trying to convince you to wire money to fulfill an invoice or pay a lawyer, anything like that. Companies lost $1.3 billion to this in 2018. That's what the FBI estimates now.
And so by going this route, they end up having what? They're able to claim your paycheck? What happens?
Yes, they can take, even if it's just one payment, of course, people usually notice that right away. But then the company, of course, is almost certainly on the hook for that. And doing this several times a day by automating this process, they can take several $100,000 in one day.
Wow. So, Judith, if all of a sudden the banking system is caught up in rerouting people's paychecks, how do they respond to that?
Well, they work with these small and mid-sized companies to coach them in putting additional processes and security procedures in place to help them prevent this going forward. Right now, we have a number of criminals who are taking advantage of the fact that people are very busy and want to please the executives of their firm and are very hesitant to not fulfill the request. And so we're seeing them, provide more coaching advice and providing them, a little more training on what they can do to improve their security, security posture.
It's alarming to me not only that that they're doing this after your paycheck, which is probably the most dangerous thing for any American, Judith, but that they would be able to impersonate your boss. How would they have that information? How do they know who my boss is?
Well, unfortunately, they have a lot of information, and either they have gathered that by just scanning corporate websites and finding out who the senior executives are, and they have amazing tools that allow them to impersonate senior executives and take advantage of your trust of the senior executives. IBM has seen that 45% of phishing attempts involve business email compromise. So obviously, this is a very lucrative business for these criminals.
And Kate, she mentioned especially a lot of small and medium-sized businesses. Are they more likely to be vulnerable to something like this?
I think that without having a lot more of their internal processes automated, yes, small and medium-sized businesses and even individuals. I've also talked about how people who are closing on a home can be susceptible to this kind of fraud.
Wow.
You get an email from somebody who looks like your attorney telling you to wire the down payment.
Oh, and when we closed on our home, there were people involved I had never heard of. So if they said to me, and that process is so important, if they said we need any information, I would have immediately sent it.
Right, and that's how these hackers work. So they use that sense of urgency against you. This is something called social engineering, where if you get an email from your CEO, you, of course, as Judith said, want to respond affirmatively. Now, there's a solution to this, which is you can talk to your bank. If you're a small business, you can talk to your employees and let them know if somebody comes out of the blue and asks for whether it's direct deposit or a wire, to call that person and do a voice verify, and that can save you a lot of harm.
And make sure